Okay, let's go.
He wants to jump
1,000 cars. Sir, you have 1,000 cars.
I don't think I'd attempt to try this stunt.
Or we owe this horsepower to Uncle Sam.
Too many cars.
Car. Roses would be.
Like I put my beer belly on it.
If you can't immediately tell somebody how many cars you have.
You'll really give those uppity yuppies something to think about.
Stay on the bar. Don't go off the bar with your Bronco.
1980 Volvo horns, what's right? I want a man's coolant.
And he's like, oh, I thought it'd be small. It's for a small car. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still an automatic transmission. They're never going to be light.
It's definitely going to have to crash.
Starting off with Brad buying another car.
That's the West. Internet.
Is this a Nigerian oil print?
I also wish you drove a tan Camry.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's a
horrible,
very
horrible podcast content.
very
Talking about a picture.
inside joke.
It loves to be driven hard.
Welcome to another episode of Auto Off Topic. What's up, Brad?
Not much, Andrew. How's it going out there in the East Coast?
It's going. We're getting into summertime. It's getting warmer. Ooh,
Excellent. Sorry, that was probably pretty loud. It's not a polar, actually. I have a beer this evening.
Whoa.
I haven't had much beer lately with my dietary restrictions and whatnot, but it's my birthday weekend. And I bought myself a packet. Oof, that's how long it's been. A 6-pack of gluten-free beers. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm having a Delicious, that's the brand, by Stone. Oh, sorry, Stone is the brand. Delicious double IPA. So, yeah, if you're a gluten allergy person like myself, all of the Stone Delicious is, they say gluten reduced because they can't say gluten free, but it's gluten free. You can drink it. So, it's good stuff. Anyway.
I actually had a bad bottle of seltzer last night.
That's weird. I've never heard of that being a thing.
Yeah, the flavor is like missing. It's like weird.
Non-seltzer drinking normal people will say that that's just normal seltzer.
Yeah, but it's
those
funny
people
that
would be wrong.
I drink enough of this that when the flavor is not correct, I can tell.
Right. Just mislabeled. It's a plain seltzer.
No, it's like it's weird. It smells. It's the ginger lime one. It smells sort of the way it's supposed to, but it doesn't taste right. It's weird. And I had that happen with. There was one summer where like all the blueberry lemonade ones I kept getting were weird.
It's funny because smell is so closely linked to taste. You would think if it smelled like it would definitely taste like it.
No, but I'm like, nope, let's taste off.
Interesting.
And then so I grabbed a different one and it's fine. So I'm like, it's not me.
Interesting.
So, yep.
Anyway, this has a lot of flavor, so I'm not worried about that. Especially when you don't drink beer much and then you have beer and it's a double IPA. It's like the first time I ever had a beer.
Going off the rails.
Kind of strong
there.
flavor. Yeah. So, anyway. I forget where we're going. Oh, we just said hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
One sip of beer and I'm already off the rails.
I don't have a whole heck of a lot. We didn't talk about that finish at Darlington.
We didn't. So if you're one of our NASCAR hating listeners, skip ahead like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking to?
That was wild. It was wild because it was it was Larson that won.
Were you talking about
Keselowski, right?
The Kenseth.
All right.
Yeah. Matt Kenseth and
yeah.
Larson, and the closest finish in NASCAR racing history. They said it was .001 at the line.
Yeah.
But what it turns out is that .001 is probably not accurate. It was closer than that.
It's the margin of error.
But there's the system only counts to .001. It only goes to that many zeros. So the race wasn't decided by the timing system because the timing system had a statistical tie. So
Yeah.
they had to go based on photo evidence, which if you saw the photos, it looks like it's a blurry snapshot of the finish, which I thought was interesting that they don't have a higher fidelity camera.
No,
Until
but there's a
I
reason.
learned,
Yeah.
until I learned that it's a line scan photo. So
Yeah.
basically it takes the image like that on purpose so that a computer can judge which car was ahead of the other car.
Yeah.
So
It's the same technology apparently they used for the Kentucky Derby, which was also apparently a close finish. I didn't watch
yeah,
it.
they use it for the Derby. They use it for IndyCar, F1, all the Olympics. Everything
Yeah,
uses that
yeah.
same line scan technology camera. So to your, regular human eye, it looks like a crappy, blurry picture. They're trying to decipher who won the race, but it turns out that it's actually like a super crisp image if you're a computer. So I quickly did a I am not a robot test to everybody who saw it because we all saw it as a blurry photo we couldn't make out anything from. So super interesting. I mean, it was a hell of a finish, obviously, and I mean, I feel bad for Kenseth because he thought he won.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
he
it
was
was
celebrating. The team was celebrating. It's
Didn't
just
Larson already have 2 wins?
Larson already has wins, so he
Yeah.
doesn't need win to get in.
Yeah.
It was just a super close finish.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. And then I don't know. It's super annoying because I've been trying to watch them on DVR, a little delay because there is a lot of commercials. Like this past weekend, I watched that weekend, I think I watched they did IndyCar at the road course, which was cool, at the Indy road course, because they're getting all set up for like speed weeks at Indy. And then this past weekend I was watching.
Also, I'm saying Matt Kenseth. Hold on, we gotta go back. I did hit
Yeah.
in my brain. It's Chris Buescher. I don't know where I had messed
Yeah.
up Matt Kenseth. Yeah, sorry. Did Kenseth used to drive the 17 car, maybe?
That's the problem. We've talked about this, that the colors, you have to memorize the numbers now because the schemes change week to week.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And we'll talk about some of the throwbacks in a second. But yeah, I was watching IMSA this weekend. They're at Laguna Seca, which that was a good race. I caught some of the Spa WEC race.
Okay.
That was
I saw the
Saturday
highlights.
morning. I was watching it and then I turned it on. It's funny because it's like I just didn't like. It makes sense that there's lots of cars. There was a Penske team there and a Cadillac team there and a Penske team and a Cadillac team in California.
Correct.
But one of the Cadillacs was trying to make a pass and caught one of the GT cars and just absolutely like shithoused the car. Like it just spun and obliterated the car.
Is that the
was
one where the car turned lane too soon and quarter panel probably caught the nose of the car he's passing?
His fender looks like it caught the Porsche in front.
Okay.
And then took out the GT car was minding their own business. The Cadillac was the guy that made the wrong move because he was trying to hold momentum to go up past the Porsche and clip the side of the Porsche and spun and took out the BMW GT car. And in all of that, obliterated the Cadillac, and everybody was fine, but it was like caused a red flag. It was just a ridiculous amount of damage, like total yard sale.
Yep. Yeah, I saw the highlights or lowlights in that case of that wreck. So
yeah. And then so Porsche got their they got a win in Spa. Penske.
Penske swept the weekend basically.
Yeah. And then they got their 100th sports car win at Laguna Seca. And I think Porsche had like 600 wins or something. I'm forgetting. I should have like wrote these things down.
It's impressive numbers, but I mean, you're the number one, guy in the sport. You own a bunch of racetracks. You own a bunch of race cars. It's money wins races.
Oh,
at the end of the
dynasty
day, right?
team. Like, absolutely,
Yeah.
right? Like, the dynasty team.
Sure.
Like, we talk about Hendrick is a dynasty, but it's like Penske is the dynasty.
Yeah.
Because they're good in NASCAR. They're good in sports cars. They're good in Indy cars. He owns the IndyCar series.
Yeah, he owns Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
Like he's got his hands in everything. So, I mean, if anybody listening is ever in Phoenix, his main dealerships are here, and he has the Penske Motorsports Museum is free to go into, and it's at the dealership complex, and it's a constantly rotating bunch of cars inside of it. So if you're here every couple of years, you can go check it out. It's different every time, but it's a pretty wild place. Downstairs is a bunch of race cars from the 60s to current, and then upstairs is like all the trophy cases and some scale models of cars, and it's a pretty neat little setup for, you can spend a half hour in there, and it doesn't cost anything. So it's neat.
Yeah.
It's a neat take.
Where I was
By the
going
way,
with that was
okay. So go ahead. Sorry, I won't interrupt yet.
I was trying to watch the NASCAR race on DVR because it's annoying the amount of commercials. The Fox coverage is garbage, like absolutely garbage. I can't, like, there's been a couple of weeks where they're talking about something happening on track and the camera's not even showing it.
Yeah, it isn't
like,
great.
It was like, I think it was in Darlington. There was like something happening on the restart and they were just showing the crowd. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But anyway, something with like, I have Comcast here, and like the Fox channel only will just like pixelate halfway through the broadcast and just like fall apart, and like the DVR will like freeze and I can't go past it. I'm like, so I didn't even catch the end of this last week's race,
which was a good
watched the
finish as
highlights.
well.
Yep.
The last 10
Yeah,
laps
so
were exceedingly good.
At least the highlights literally come out like minutes afterwards. So
Yeah, they do like a 15-minute recap of the race on YouTube. It's a pretty good way to catch up what you missed. I do want to just clarify that Matt Kenseth did used to drive the number 17 car, and that's why it was in my head. So, but he hasn't raced since 2020, so I was definitely wrong on that.
I mean, it's just like you got to just memorize the numbers now.
Yeah, but that's what in my head back when I watched NASCAR years ago. The number 17 was Kenseth. So,
yeah. So this past week was Darlington throwback weekend. And as annoying as Larson is, man, that Hendrick Kellogg's car was so
Yeah, it was
good.
cool.
Terry Labonte
Yeah.
throwback.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, we don't want to see him win. It was fun to see him crash, but it was also sad to see the Labonte throwback crash.
Yeah.
There were some
it's funny
some
'cause
good throwback cars for sure.
there are some really good throwback cars. The weird one was this week's winner.
Yep. Which I will say that before the race started, I was at breakfast with Naomi because that was Mother's Day, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we did breakfast, and on the TV that the pre-race coverage came on because I mean here on West Coast time, the NASCAR race starts at noon, so the coverage starts at like 10. So we were sitting there at a late breakfast, and the coverage came on, and they showed that car, and I was like, I like Keselowski anyway. I said because of a couple of things. One, his name is Brad, so automatic, respect. Two, he drives for Roush Fenway, which is cool because that's a Boston connection. I was like, and he's driving a car with the Castrol Toms livery this weekend. I was like, I really hope he does well this weekend so we can see that car a bunch. I was like, in fact, I would tell you, he's going to win this weekend. And he did.
He was due.
Yeah, he was due for sure. 100 and something starts without a win.
Yeah.
So,
But it was
heck
a
of a win.
Ford.
It was a Ford, and Ford hadn't won this year. So, but the other thing that really stinks is that not Matt Kenseth, but the current 17 driver, Chris Buescher, almost won again, or had a chance to win again, and was taken out in the last couple of laps by Tyler Reddick.
Yeah.
Like absolutely taken out. Like no question. Reddick was like, I'm going to dive bomb. Got halfway through the turn, realized that he was going way too fast and washed up the track and took out Chris Buescher as well. So the 17 car did not once again finish, but the 17 car is also a Roush Fenway Keselowski car, I think. So the fact that it at least gave the race to Keselowski. So, and I think that historically it's the first time a car owner is the driver and has won a race.
Really?
Yep.
I thought. No, really?
What did you thought? That's what they were saying during the broadcast. I didn't fact check them, but that's what they said during the broadcast. So,
I thought the Earnhardts owned their own cars at one point.
I don't know. Maybe
cool.
Maybe there's a caveat. Maybe it was in the modern era or something. I don't know. There was something they made a comment about it being the first time the car owner has won a race.
Interesting.
So yeah, we'll look it up and we'll fact check it for next week. But that's what I heard.
Yeah, and Rick's throwback was cool too. An old Tim Richmond.
Yep,
scheme.
That was very cool. Oh, the VHS tape one.
Yeah, and he even went with the mustache.
Yes, he did.
But I don't know. Like, Byron can be fast, but man, does he take out people a lot.
Yep. Yeah, he's a bit of a wild card.
So, but anyway, I don't know. The racing's been pretty good. Hopefully, it sounds like they're getting the tires figured out. This week is All-Star race, non-points race. They're going to use multiple. They have 2 tire compounds or 3 tire compounds? They're going to allow teams to play with?
2 tire compounds. Quick fact check. It hasn't. Yep. What they said during the broadcast was it hasn't been done since 2016 when Tony Stewart did it. That's what it was.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say there's been lots of owner drivers.
So there've been a few. Earnhardt's not in the list, but Tony Stewart's in the list. Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, DW, Alan Kulwicki, Lake Speed, Richard Petty, Dave Marcus back in the 80s, and that's it. So that's the official list from NASCAR. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be interesting to watch the All-Star race for them to try to play with these tire compounds.
Yeah, it's a non-points race, so they're going to try this tire compound thing there. And if it works out, there's a chance it might actually run for the rest of the season, specifically at half-mile tracks, I guess.
Half mile or a mile? Or both?
Maybe half mile and mile, but I know for half-mile tracks for sure. So,
because I know that's what they're like. That's my only worry is that.
They're talking about a
HMS
Phoenix, which is a mile.
Might be kind of boring.
Yeah,
because a mile.
Yeah, well, the problem is this new car they're trying to make competitive, but also exciting at every form of racetrack. Like they're really good at short tracks to watch, and they're good at super speedways, but they're a little lackadaisical at mile tracks.
Yeah, they're decent at mile and a halves, but it sounds like from just listening and reading that it's literally they just make the tires wear out. That's really what, just have a tire that just doesn't last.
Yeah, there needs to be a bigger difference between a guy with 30 laps in his tires and a guy with 40 laps in his tires. Right now,
and that sounds like close. And that seems like a simple way to an inexpensive way. Maybe I don't know how much these things cost, but
tires
that seems like the path of least
resistance.
Well, that seems like the path of least resistance to make the racing exciting by just playing with the tires.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they've gone so far to make the cars as even as possible that it's become difficult to pass.
Yeah.
So it's still good racing. There's still a lot of good strategy involved, but it'd be
there's
cooler
way
if
more
there's
passing than other racing.
Yeah, for sure.
But I've been watching some IndyCar races, and they are also pretty good. And I am super excited that we are going to the Indy 500 next weekend.
Yeah, it should be a good time.
Because they're already starting to. I don't know why they start practicing so early. That seems kind of crazy, but they do.
So they almost treat the Indy 500, which is part of the IndyCar series,
like its own,
treat it like its own absolute own thing.
Because it was always for many years.
Yeah, it's always been that way. So that's why they have all this extra, practice days and carburetor day, which obviously is not really what it is anymore. But
Yeah.
and you know, the multiple qualifying days, and there's just so much pomp and circumstance behind it. I know last year was the first time I'd ever been, and you know, I'm not one to get emotional at a car event, but like when the green flag dropped, like I almost teared up a little bit just because of how crazy it felt to be at that event for the first time ever, knowing how big and important that event has been to American racing over the years. So I'm stoked that you get to experience it. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I can't
So-
wait. So yeah, we'll be there.
Yep.
I'm gonna try to be at Bradley's Valley Vibes in
Awesome.
Cleveland
Awesome.
on Friday, and yeah, I don't know. I'll be around.
I won't be at Valley Vibes because we're doing a different trip because, believe it or not, well, I actually probably can believe it.
Yeah,
Flying into Indianapolis that weekend is very expensive.
yeah.
Every
I wonder
airport
why.
within like an hour of there, tickets were about $700 each.
Yeah,
one
that
way.
makes sense.
So much money. So I got angry and I started to regret committing to going because I didn't want to spend, you know, $2,500 on airfare to get there and back for Naomi and I, because Naomi's going as well this year. So she had the idea to look a little further away and make like a vacation out of it. So we're actually going to go to St. Louis and do some touristy stuff and go up inside the arch, which I didn't even know you could do, which is cool.
Ooh,
And-
okay.
Yeah, well, listen, I've done the Space Needle. I can handle it. It's fine. It's the same kind of thing.
Okay.
It's the same
Wait
kind of
till
thing.
you see the elevators.
You can't see out them when you're in them.
Yeah, wait till you see how small they are, though.
I've seen. I'm not worried about the size. Listen, my issue is not claustrophobia. It's height. So
Okay.
I'll be okay. If it was like a glass elevator, you could see out of the whole way, I'd be in trouble. But it's not. You don't see until you get to the top. So I'll be all right. Anyway,
Pretty
so
small.
we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do some other stuff in St. Louis while we're there, and then it's like a 3-hour drive to the track.
Yeah.
So the cost of the tickets to fly to St. Louis were $100 each instead of $700 each. So even factoring in extra time and rental car, it's going to cost us less money and it's going to be more experiential for us. So plus we've never been around that area before, so it'll be a first. So it should be a good time. I'm excited for it, and I'm excited to go to the race. And then you and I, she's going to fly home, and you and I are going to drive to Massachusetts.
Yep.
There'll be some Colt updates because I'll be working on the yellow Colt, the 74 Colt, while I'm there, and maybe helping out the Volvo some if I need to, if you want. Should be fun to wrench that together a little and go from there. So we have a pretty epic couple of weeks coming up.
Yeah, so about the Volvo.
Perfect segue.
My dad came over on his birthday last Saturday.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Yeah.
Exactly 1 week before mine every year.
Yeah. So we looked at it because we knew you did like a preliminary compression test that was very low.
Very low.
So we're like, all right, let's check it out. So he brought over his leak down tester, pull the valve cover, loosen the rocker shaft so we know all the valves are closed.
Correct.
Well, before that, we did a compression test, and the results were not good. It was like 25 psi across the board.
Right, which is what I got.
So did a leak down test. Cylinder 1 leaking out of the exhaust valve. Like you'd hear it out the exhaust pipe.
Okay.
Which, you know, you can wear out an exhaust valve in an old engine like that from not running leaded gas.
Sure.
Because it's
Yeah, if
that's
it's
where-
never been updated with the hardened valve seats and everything.
plug in to number 2. As soon as I hit it with air, I look at the overflow on the radiator. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, okay, head gasket.
Okay.
Number 3, head gasket.
So it's probably blown out between 2 and 3.
Yep. Number 4, it was a super loud hiss, not coming from the exhaust, just like either coming out the intake valve or just going past the rings and into the crankcase.
Okay.
So, that
But
one actually did the best. That held the most pressure, but still was leaking.
But it's possible that it's going out the exhaust valve, you said, right?
No, I didn't hear it on number 4. I did not hear it at the exhaust pipe. It was very
Okay.
loud in the engine compartment. So it was either going into the crankcase or going out the intake valve, I should say.
Okay, intake valve.
Yeah.
So it could just be cylinder head.
It could, but the bottom end is unknown. I've never heard it run. I don't know if it needs bearings. The thing could have been overheated. Who knows,
Sure.
right? So it's like, in my opinion, I understand, we put this on Discord. Some people are like, just slap a head on it. Sure. But I don't really want to slap a head on it and then fire it up and have it just blowing past all the rings, right?
Sure.
Because that's the problem. It is an old hot rodding trick. You would, break in an engine and then throw a fresh head on it. And the bottom end would be broken in and the head would be nice and tight and make a little more horsepower. But I'm going to throw a fresh head on a 210,000 mile engine. And maybe it'll be nice and tight up top. It'll just blow out in the bottom end, right? So it doesn't make any sense. The engine is so small.
Yeah,
and not that
the
complicated.
parts are not expensive.
No, they are not.
Yeah, it's going to cost you almost the same amount of money to do the bottom end as just the top end. So it's really is your time. And honestly, Andrew, what have we learned from my Raider?
Exactly. I was
Just
like,
take it apart and do it right.
I'm just going to do it once because that's the way we did my Gallant and my Talon, full engine jobs. And they've been in both of those cars for more than 10 years.
Right. Almost
so
20 on the Talon.
Yeah, so it's like we'll do the engine. I was like kind of looking through. I'm like, well, I could. Yoshi Fab does sell like the brackets. You could put the later V230 in it. I was like, but then that's like literally all they have for the swap. Like, is the brackets. Like, you still have to figure out how to mount the transmission, which is mismatching, some parts together, and then the intake is on the driver's side, and it interferes with that huge brake cylinder. So you got to figure that out. I'm like, but I could run carbs with it. I'm like, no. I'm just bought the car because I wanted a 60s car.
Yeah, this is where my new trademark phrase is going to come into play. And I said it on the Discord when somebody else was talking about swapping something. And it's just let old cars be old.
It depends on what I want, right?
Sure.
If I already had an old car,
it's not a sin to let an old car be old. Not every car needs an LS or a K20 or they have their place. The hot rods are cool, but sometimes, man, you can just let an old car be old. It's okay. Like, we're into the old car because you want the personality of an old car. Let the old car be old.
It would be different if my intention, like I do want to LS swap a car at some point, just to do it. Like, the act of doing it would be enjoyable, but it has to be the right car. And this is not the car for an engine swap. I bought it because I wanted a 60s car. I wanted a 60s car feel. Yep. I'm gonna stick with that 60s engine in it. And it's not a big deal. Like, it's that I ended up with by buying the 69 is like the highest compression version and the highest horsepower version that they made. Because it's pre-emissions, pre-fuel injection. So it's
with a fresh motor, custom carburetors, you'll probably make more power.
Yeah, it's a 120 horsepower engine stock.
Okay,
and then it actually went down as the cars got a little bit older because they went into newer because they went into fuel injection and emission stuff. So, I just have to make sure that like I stick with the right thickness of head gasket to not mess with the compression ratio too much. It's got there's a bunch of different cam grinds you can still buy. This one is supposedly the C grind, which is stock. And of course, people have made like Excel sheets of all the different cam grinds. And
well, you're in the Volvo world now, Andrew. It's a professor's place. So
so I'm looking at the C grind compared to the IPD one, and they're like nearly similar. I'm like, well, I'm definitely not bothering with that IPD cam if the C one is so close, and then the car already makes 120 horsepower. Like,
you're not going to gain.
I'm not going to waste that money on that.
Yeah, Unless you pull the cam
Um,
out and it's trashed.
but you can buy a replacement C grind
Okay. For probably less
So-
money than the IPD one.
for significantly less.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm just gonna stick with that, and maybe I'll do a little like port polishing or something on the head.
Yeah, do like a port polish and then your custom carburetors and then like a 4-into-1 header.
The 4-in-1 header is not much money. It's $300.
Yeah. That
And
alone
yeah.
will make a bunch of power.
Yeah, I might get 125, 130 out of it.
Well, when you're talking 120 horsepower, another 10 horsepower is like an 8% bump.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
And it'll be plenty for that car. Like it's fine. I have several very fast cars.
Right. You don't want to make it so hot rod that it's annoying to drive. You want it to.
That's
be
the other thing.
something
People are like,
that
"Oh,
you
they
can
put
drive
these
it.
big cams in them and they don't drive very well."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, just leave it. I got a plan here.
Well, that's the same conversation I'm having with the Corolla. Like a friend of ours, Steve, on the Discord, is saying, go out and build a spicy 3TC. But I don't want to
put
go too
beams in it.
spicy. Are you paying the bill? Because that would cost as much as your Volvo cost, just for the engine now. But I don't want to go so spicy on a stock motor that I can't drive the car anymore. Like, it's tempting, sure. Same thing, big cam, custom carburation, custom timing equipment they make for these things. Basically, they run the 3TCs and everything. There's tons of hot rod ways to build them, but I need this car to drive. I don't want to make it a huge hot rod. So if I could afford a
what's
beams,
in it right now?
it would be getting a beams. It's a 3TC, yeah.
You can do some mild stuff probably. It'd be fine.
I'm going to do some mild stuff. I'm going to do a mild cam. I'm going to do a 4-into-1 exhaust. I'm going to look at the carburetor setup and see if it's a more ideal setup than what I have. But I'm not going to go nuts. I'm not going to do a huge bore, huge port polish, huge cam. They make a bolt-on turbo kit for it. They make almost bolt-on EFI for it. There's so much you can do to those cars because they're so ubiquitous in the motorsports world. A ton of Legends cars, maybe not Legends cars, but quarter midget size cars. A bunch of the boat race guys use 3TCs. There's so many vehicles that use 3TCs that there's circle track racers use 3TCs. There's so many options for making power with them, but a slight compression ratio bump, a better exhaust, and some slightly better carburation, and the thing will make, again, 10 to 20% more horsepower, but still be drivable. And that's the goal. So,
yeah, because the problem is they get undrivable and you don't want to use them.
Correct.
I'm glad I actually I want to put a slightly larger but still streetable turbo on the Talon, but that's about it.
Right.
The only thing I regret is there's newer clutches with new technology that aren't as heavy to use but hold the same.
Sure.
That's the only thing I regret about that car is that it has a 2,600 pound clutch. It's really annoying, but
Yep.
It's still drivable. It's a little trickier in traffic.
We've both driven worse, so
yeah. And the Galant I built much closer to stock, and I've been very happy with that. And I haven't driven a lot in the last couple of years, but I drove it a lot for a lot of years. Well, a lot of other Galants were broken and not being used at all. You constantly see people with broken Galants.
Throwing shade on me on that one there, Andrew?
No, not yours. But I'm talking about
no,
just
mine too.
On the internet groups of Gallants, people build a car and then it would break almost immediately, and then
I spotted a Galant VR4 in traffic here the other day.
Oh yeah,
actually, it was
picture on the Discord.
Yeah, it was actually parked, but it's not something you normally see just out on a regular day anymore. So
No,
I need to see is it Nile black, that color?
Yeah, but that's why the car that I have, I was able to buy it because the guy built a ridiculous drag car out of it for some reason, and then it broke, and he pulled the drivetrain out of it and just put it in his garage.
Oh.
So,
I honestly think that this Volvo is going to be the equivalent of the Galant. You built the Galant to be a streetable, mild, personalized custom, and the Volvo is going to be very similar to that, just an earlier car.
Yeah. So
the muscle car guys call it day 2 cars, right? They look almost stock, but they have some minor touches that would have been done when the car was new, and that's
pretty much day 2.
Day 2, like you buy the car, like back in the muscle car days. Day 1, you bought the car. Day 2, you had your Kragers on it and your jacked up rear suspension. And
I never heard of that.
Exhaust. Yeah, that's the muscle cars. That's the muscle car guys call a mild modified muscle car, a Day 2 car. So you're building like a Day 2 Volvo.
Okay.
Like it has springs, wheels, and exhaust mods.
Yeah, we figured out what kind of springs were on it. They're not IPDs.
Remember the name? Yeah.
It's an L. It's like less forest or something.
Yeah, at least less
They're
I have
Swedish.
to look it up again. Yeah. Yeah, you found the part number on one of them, and I was able to back search the part number. Couldn't find it on a Volvo part because I sold it as a kit, but I back searched the part number with the word spring, and I found a manufacturer for a part number with that spring. And then I searched that spring manufacturer to see if they made a kit for a 140, and they do. And it turns out that spring comes in that kit. So so it has this Furs.
Yeah,
I don't know, some Swedish word company springs with the Bilsteins. So that's a good combo.
Yeah. And all right, so the seats have been like I did wipe it down. It already
vacuumed the
it.
feathers out.
Yeah, I did. Vacuumed a lot of the dust out, wiped it down. It has rubber mats in it, but you can buy carpet kits, and I'll do that eventually. I gotta save a little money at the moment so I can build the engine.
Sure.
Carpet kits can come afterwards because the mats aren't terrible.
Yeah,
There's a little missing part in the back, but
yeah, they're a little broken up too. If we start lifting them, I lifted them. I looked at the floors.
That happens, right?
Yeah, and they're just dry rotted because they're old rubber.
Yeah, but that's a cool thing that there are complete replacement carpet sets available.
My mind is actually blown at how many parts are available for these cars. I didn't realize what a big community that there actually was for them. Like, I know there's a big hot rod Volvo community, but I thought it was going to be all hot rod parts. I mean, there's almost as many parts available for this as like an MGB. It looks like interior kits, and engine parts, and like it's a pretty good entry into like classic car ownership, I think.
Yeah. So, the seats were really bugging me. Looking around for seats. It's got the passenger side window regulator. Something's up with it. I kind of looked at it really quick. You guys, or Naomi, shoved a piece of wood in there for me. Keep it closed. I think it was a regulator. I don't know. I found one on eBay. I bought it. The guy had a bunch of Volvo parts for sale, and he was in Rochester, New Hampshire. I was like, that's not that far away. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes from you. Yeah.
So then he messaged me. He's like, I can't find that one. He's like, I found a 241. It looks just like it. I'll send it to you. If it doesn't fit, just tell me and I'll refund you. I'm like, all right, fair enough, man. That was like $25. I was like, whatever, that's worth it. So then I asked him, I'm like, hey, do you have any other 140 parts? I'm looking for seats. He's like, I do have some seats. And then he got me some pictures a little bit later on. They're blue seats, really nice shape. He's like $50. I'm like, okay. So he's like, I'll just put up an eBay listing for you. So I was like, all right, fair enough. You want to deal through eBay? That's fine. There's like protections in there, right?
Yeah, it's interesting he does that though, because now he pays fees.
Okay, so he did that. I bought the seats.
Yeah.
Then he messaged me tonight because I bought them on the way home, or I bought them when I got home from work. So I call his number, and I was like, yeah, if you want to put he's like, I also have a dashboard. So like top and bottom, like basically perfect, like no cracks.
So we get rid of all the cracks and all the holes drilled?
Yes.
Sick.
And I was like, yeah, I want that too. If you want to put that up. He's like, no, don't worry about that. Just when you come pick up the seats, we'll just do cash. I was like, okay. So full dashboard setup, $25. I was like, yeah. So I gotta call him back tomorrow and tell him when I can run up and grab that stuff. Because I saw a lower dash part on eBay from like Norway. It was like $75.
Sure, which is not expensive, but shipping.
No, I almost bought it too, and I was like, nah, I better hold off. I bet I can find somebody in the States with stuff.
So literally 2 seats, an entire dashboard, and a window regulator for $100.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm like, this is like throwback pricing. Like this feels like 2003.
I said this to you before. Can I have the Volvo back?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go to this guy's parts stash. He's got a lot of 240 stuff. He's got 850. He must have a bunch of cars in the yard or something.
Yeah, look for wheels and look for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring some extra money, and maybe he's got. I didn't want to like just hit him with all the stuff. I'll just do it while I'm there. Like, do you have door cards? Do you have
Yeah,
like
yeah,
whatever?
absolutely.
So that's the other thing. I'm like, do you want me to text you? He's like, no, this is my house number. Just call it. So he's old school guy.
So he's 100. I like it. So maybe I can buy a Volvo from him now that I want a Volvo. I can't. No, stop, Brad. No buying.
So yeah, and again, the seats are blue, but like they're not ripped or torn. I'll run them for a while. I could buy the fabric kits to swap them.
Yeah, because again, the car is basically an MGB.
Yeah, and like they're missing the headrests, but you can also buy the kits for the headrests.
Were the headrests factory in '69? Volvo probably was. Yeah. Because I don't know if headrests were mandatory yet in '69. I don't remember.
Yeah, even if they aren't, it's got the holes from in these seats. I don't know what year these seats are from. I'll throw them in there because it's nicer.
Because I know like my Camaro doesn't have headrests. Our Mustang doesn't have headrests. Those are both 68s.
Yeah. But I was reading the owner's manual that came with the car. It's kind of wild. So the seats, you can slide them front to back, and like recline them. But it's like, if you need to change the angle of the seat bottom, you unbolt the seats, and when you look at the seat brackets, they are adjustable, like a race car seat bracket.
Oh, interesting. So you can like rock it back.
Yeah, and the front is like a threaded rod to like help support it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then I'm hoping maybe the back seat belts. I figured out why they're red. It's that vinyl paint again. Because after I vacuumed out the feathers, they were like, I grabbed one and they were super stiff. And I was like, these have been painted. That's why they're red.
Quality.
So maybe I can take them out like, I don't know. I don't want to soak them in paint thinner. I don't know.
Maybe
soak them in
Old Man
Volvo. Maybe Super Clean, the Castrol Super Clean. It's not Castrol Super Clean anymore. It's just like Super Clean, the purple stuff that would strip model car paint.
Maybe Old Man Volvo will have a setup there.
He might.
Yeah. I honestly think you should try something on the door cards. I think you can probably get that red paint off similarly with some Citrus Strip or something.
Citrus Strip might work, but
I like Citrus Strip because it's not toxic.
Yeah, but if this guy's got him, I'll just put him in there and
sure.
And yeah, I'll figure it out.
Sure. Yeah,
so
Citrus Strip works really well for something that's a non-toxic product. I don't know how it works.
I don't know.
It smells like orange juice, but it takes paint off things.
Yeah.
So
it's like isn't like Evaporust? Isn't that like non-toxic too somehow?
I don't think so. I think that stuff smelled pretty bad.
Is it?
I don't know enough to say yes or no, but I know that Citrus Strip ridiculously is like 100% non-toxic. Like I don't recommend it, but you could probably drink it.
Don't
do that. Not actual
do not
advice.
Do that.
Yes. Do not do that. And if you do, we didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
We're off the hook with that one.
So the other thing with taking the engine out of that car is cars get 210,000 miles on it. I don't know how old the clutch is.
Hey, might as well put a new clutch in there while you got it apart.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
Plus the oil pan, when I went under it, was all leaking. So it was like that was gonna have to be resealed anyways.
Yep. At least you got a plan. That's good.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear it. So
I'll
be ready by next weekend when I'm there, right?
Yeah. I might. What I might need your help with is getting it over to Salem.
Sure.
We'll figure that out.
Well, you have AAA, right?
I do. I don't know. I have AAA and Hagerty, so
yeah, done.
I actually gotta put my plates on the car. I don't want to keep leaving it in the yard without plates on it. I don't want somebody calling on me. I don't think it'd be a neighbor. It might be somebody driving by or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
somebody
probably.
might be weird.
Some jerk.
Some
jerk who's jealous he doesn't have a 142.
Yeah. I got the parts I ordered for the fuel injectors for the Galant. So had we recorded earlier. I probably would have worked on that a little bit tonight, but maybe I'll do it over the weekend. We'll see. So yeah, I want to get that. I mean, that car runs, but I want to get those parts swapped while I'm doing them. So
Excellent.
but anyways, what do you got for Project Car stuff? Anything?
So I don't have a lot of updates. I have a admittedly stupidity Brad moment, which I'll admit live on the podcast here because whatever, it's why we do this, right? We want people to know that we all screw up. So I drove the Eclipse last weekend after putting it together. Did about 100 miles in it, and everything was good. I took it out last night just to run to the store and back, and I heard this repetitive clicking noise in the front. And I was like, that's weird. And I put the clutch in, and it kept going. I was like, put the clutch out, it kept going. It changed with speed, and I was like, okay. And then, do you ever have one of those moments where, like, you can literally see the exclamation point over your head because you realize what's wrong?
Yeah.
So I was about a mile from the house, and I went, oh no. When I took the car apart, I took the left front wheel off.
Yeah.
And I put it back on the car so that it was in the driveway. It didn't look like it was in pieces.
Mm-hmm.
When we put the car back together, we didn't take the wheel off.
Uh-oh.
Correct. So it didn't even dawn on me to check it because it had been a couple of months. So I had never torqued the front wheel on. So I immediately pulled over and pulled the center cap off. And I could, with my fingers, spin all 5 lug nuts.
Oh.
Yeah. So I, with my fingers, spun them as tight as I could. And I was only about a mile from home and all, not even a mile, probably a half mile on all surface
You don't have
streets.
a toolkit? The factory toolkit?
I probably have the toolkit in the car, but the back of the car is still full of parts and tools. So I was like, I'm a half mile from home. I'm just going to hazards on 15 miles an hour on the side of the road, make it home. And every 500 feet, I got out and hand tightened the lug nuts and made it home and retorqued them down and everything is good. But that could have been a disaster.
Boy.
That could have been a disaster because I took that thing on the highway at 80 miles an hour. Yeah, that could have been ugly. So thankfully I got
honestly,
away with it. Go ahead.
15 years ago, I did this in my STI one time. I took all the wheels off to clean them because they were the gold wheels.
Yep.
And then put them back on and forgot to torque them and drove to Boston.
Yeah.
I realized the car was weird going down Route 1 and rattly.
Yeah.
And then I was out with friends and I was thinking about it. I was like, oh,
Yep.
I did not tighten those.
Right.
So I grabbed the lug wrench and tightened them all before I went home.
Yep. So
But that would have been like that video of the autocrossing RX-7 where
all 4 wheels fall
turns
off.
and all 4 wheels fall off. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, thankfully, I caught it before it became a problem. They must have been, because I think when I put them back on, I used my my impact, but I didn't run them on there. I just kind of seated them. So I must have seated them just enough. They lasted, 130 miles or so before they loosened up. And yikes. So anyway, just so you all know, I know we have some people that listen that are always talking about how they're not confident in their own mechanical abilities, but everybody screws up, man. It is what it is. Just try to remember that stuff. And if you're putting something back together temporarily, just don't. Put it back together like it's going back together, because you never know. So when we were doing the timing belt, I was like, oh, I'll pull the wheel off. And Josh was like, no, I can do the wheel. I do the wheel on all the time. And I was like, all right, well, we'll do the wheel on. I was like, one less thing to worry about. Not realizing that it was actually one more thing to worry about because I hadn't tightened it back on the first time. So anyway, so that was sketchy, but I got away with it. Every now and then you get away with one, but I got away with it and we're good to go. So that's that. What else happened? Not much, but we did have this Sunday, because one of the things that I am incredibly not confident in is rust repair and welding. So we have a friend who is a 30 plus year body man coming over to the house on Sunday, and he's going to do all of the final under hood bodywork on the Mustang for us. So those 2 spots on top of the fenders and the battery tray will all be replaced by this weekend. So excited about that. But then the real ultimate news is we have paid a deposit for our garage.
Oh, I didn't know you put a deposit down.
It happened about 2 hours before recording of the podcast.
Nice.
So garage is go. The garage company also does sheds, and we worked out a deal because, yes, I know you're laughing because you sent me that video the other day about how you know you're old because you're excited about sheds.
You just keep thinking about sheds.
Keep it about sheds.
What kind of shed can I get? Where can I put the shed? Where can I put it on?
So about a year ago, we have this area on the west side of our house that was accessible from the front yard, and then ended in a wall that was flush with the back of the house, and didn't make much sense because it was kind of like a dead zone. Like you couldn't put a car over there because my front yard has these big trees that you couldn't really drive around. The previous owner of my home used to fill it with jet skis, which is not our thing. So we moved the wall from the flush with the back of the house to flush with the front of the house. So now we can access that open area from the back of the house. We have this shed that dates back to the construction of this house in 1978. And it's one of those very typical 70s metal sheds with the metal sliding doors. And it's pretty worse for the wear. It's, it's a 45-year-old shed with rust and panels falling, and just, it's kind of janky. So we wanted to upgrade it anyway. And it happens to be located right where the garage is going to go. So step 1 of the garage process is we talked to them about the garage and a shed. It's kind of a package deal.
Is it a free shed?
It's not a free shed.
Buy a garage, you get a free shed? Nah,
It's
come on.
not a free shed. It's not a free shed. We got some free upgrades and some discounts on some stuff. So we saved some money on the shed. Shed Talk podcast coming up soon. But it's going to go in that open area on the west side of the house. And it's going to be probably close to 3 times the size of our current shed. So that will be nice. So step number 1, we're going to have that shed built first. So we can take all of the stuff out of the old shed and put it in the new shed. And then take down said old shed and begin, demolition of the yard. But according to the garage/shed building company, the permit process takes about 2 months in the city of Phoenix. So they start the permit process the day that you pay your deposit. Well, we paid our deposit at the end of the day on a Thursday, so hopefully they start that process tomorrow or Monday. And it's, mid-May now? So that means that the permit should be approved by mid-July. So the shed, however, will be here Tuesday, June 6th or 7th or whatever that date is. So we'll have a shed here. in a
Shed
week or
day.
2. Yeah, shed day. Very exciting. Shed should be up in 1 day, they said, which is nice. It's like a prefab unit. Like, we give them the sizes and they just build it, bring it here in sections and put it together. So that should be a 1 day process, which will be nice. And then mid-July, hopefully, we can start with the garage building. So they say that takes about 3 days. So day number 1, before we get day number 1, we'll have the concrete done. So the hope is we'll get the concrete done when the plans are approved. Concrete gets done, concrete gets settled. They say it's about 2 weeks from the concrete till then. So all of that in mind, it sounds like maybe end of August, beginning of September, we'll have a garage built. So
Wait, how many days does it take to build a garage?
3 days.
Oh, so they prefab it all.
Yep, you give them all the dimensions, and they prefab all the walls and prefab all the joists, and
Okay.
they bring it in on a truck. And all they ask is they have access to their truck within 200 feet of where the garage is going, because unfortunately we can't get a truck in our backyard. So just because the overhang
Well,
from the
you
house.
can't go in the alley.
So the problem is the alley is wide enough for a truck, but if the truck is tall, the overhang of the roof hangs over the alley. There's no alley behind the house.
Oh,
So yeah, our wall backs up to the neighbor's wall. Like it's one wall. It's just
oh,
yard
it's,
to yard.
yeah. I forgot. Some of the neighborhoods have alleys behind the
Yep,
houses. I forgot.
not ours, unfortunately. So, but anyway, yeah. So that's exciting. That's pretty exciting to me. So the shed is going to be the garage. Who cares about the shed? Sorry, Naomi. The garage is going to be 24 feet deep by 30 feet wide. So that's 3 cars plus. If I went tight, I could squeeze 4 cars probably on the floor. But the plan is initially the plan is going to be 2 4-post lifts and a 2-post lift. Unfortunately, I was looking at the sizes of lifts, and each lift, the smallest lifts you can get, are overall almost 10 feet wide.
Yep.
When including the arms and everything, the feet, I guess,
Mhm.
legs, I guess, arms, feet, legs, if you want to call it. So 2 of those at almost 10 feet is 20 feet. So 2/3 of my garage would be taken up by the lifts. And I was like, well, that's not going to work. So less ideal, but smaller footprint. You can buy a lift that lifts 2 cars side by side at once. So it's slightly less convenient because in order to get a car off the top, you have to move both cars in the bottom. But they're just 16 feet wide overall. So it only takes about half the garage floor space, and it takes a good chunk less floor space than 2 4-post lifts. And they cost about $7,000, or a little bit more money than a single 4-post, but I think fully worth it. And then eventually put a 2-post on the other side. So it'll have 1 wide door, 1 skinny door, and it's got a barn style roof, so that it will only have 8-foot walls. But because it has a barn style roof with trusses that don't have any roof truss, like nothing goes straight across, we'll have another 8 feet of opening inside the truss, so that it's only an 8-foot wall, but technically we'll have 16 feet of lift height, so I can put lifts in without worry. So that was the reason for going with the barn style instead of the standard truss style, because a standard truss has beams that go across at 8 feet, and then you can't put lifts in. So I wanted to get as many cars indoors as possible. So theoretically, with this setup, with the 2-car lift, I can get 4 cars on the one side, and then with a 2-post lift on the other side, I can have at least 1 car there, and I can put 2 cars in with a car on the 2-post lift. So there'll be 6-car storage in the backyard, plus the working bay, and 2-car storage in the front yard. So that's 8 cars indoors. So that makes me a very happy man. So I'm excited. It's going to be a little bit tight getting in and out of the garage, but we're going to make it work. So
where are you going to put all the cars?
In the garages? Oh, you mean during the building process?
Yeah.
So I'll have some conversations with some local friends, and I can put a couple cars at various places around the valley. But we're going to be losing a part of our grass yard for the garage, so we're going to have to redo the grass in the fall anyway. So I'll just park them on the grass for now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can move them over on the grass, because if all goes according to plan, their Mercor will be gone and the Toyota pickup will be gone. So it's 2 less cars anyway, and I'll only have 4 cars that I need to like stuff somewhere. Everything else can move around. So we'll just park them on the grass for the 3 days that we need. You know what I mean? It's not like it needs to be for a year. So we just need it while we're doing the concrete pour, while the concrete settles, and then while the garage is being built. So it's not a huge deal, but I have enough friends in the valley that at least have 1 driveway spot or 1 alley spot next to their house. They'll take a car for a week, hopefully. So if not, I'll make it work. I'm not worried about it. I also can put, my work car on the street and put another car in the front yard, in the front driveway for a few days. It's not the end of the world. It's all for the greater good. So I'm pretty excited. Like a 24 by 30 building is a good size, right? Even if I fill it on the 30-foot side with cars, that 24-foot deep gives me plenty of space in the back or at the front. So that, unfortunately, I think the 4-post lift is going to have to go pretty close to the back, just because of getting the cars in and out of the doors and having angling room and whatnot. So, but on the other side, I'll have plenty of space for workbenches and toolboxes and all that stuff. And plus, with the open roof style, once I have everything situated in there with lifts and whatnot, we can look and see where we might be able to also do a loft. So hopefully we can add a loft in there for hangout space / storage without losing lift space. And the plan is also to do eventually mini splits, and the new mini splits have built-in solar. So you don't even need to run them off your main house electricity during the height of the day. They can run off the solar. And then you've tied into your house electricity. So if you're out there at nighttime, you can run them. And if you're not going to be out there, you don't even need them on at nighttime because there's no sun beating on the building. And if the AC is running all day, it's not going to go up a ton overnight. So be able to store things in there without worrying about it. And it'll just be a nice place. So hopefully it happens on that time schedule. And if it does, I am beyond happy. Like, this is my excited face that you can't see because radio format. So I'm pretty excited. So
Nice.
anyway, that's the project update here. There's no project car update because I haven't done too much, but there is that project update. So there should be project car updates next week because the Mustang stuff's happening. I was blocked some time this weekend to take apart the steering and radiator so I can get that job taken care of. And I don't know if I talked about it last week or not, but I'm planning on running the Starion at the next Rallycross.
No, you didn't. But you've got. You said you have a place locally to do the radiator.
I think so. Yep, I think so. So we'll. I'm going to take it out and I'll shop around if I have to, but I think I have a spot. So I think sometime in mid-June is the next Rallycross. It's actually a nighttime Rallycross. Should be fun. So I might fab up some driving lights too. We'll see how ambitious I get. If I can make it run, or it does run if I can make it cool. So we'll see. But that's the plan. Josh is a bad influence, and he convinced me to come Rallycross.
Cool.
Which I guess isn't really a bad influence. That's probably a good plan because I do miss rallycrossing. But he ran the last event at his Galant, and he said that the location is the same place. It's pretty loose sand over hard packed dirt, and there was not a lot of hidden rocks or any car damaging stuff. And he ran it in a Galant VR4 and drove on to live another day. So I'm sure that my higher clearance Rusty Starion should do just fine.
Cool.
Yep. So that's what's coming up. And then this weekend, if you're in Phoenix, is Shakedown at 4 till 4. We're going to get a bunch of Mitsubishis together over there, actually. So there'll be a Galant VR4, a couple of Pajeros, my Eclipse, a couple of other vehicles should be there. I think there'll be a couple of Evos as well. So that should be a fun morning. And then I think we're going to try to also hit PAVs with the same group Saturday night. And also a little self-promotion. If you're in the Phoenix area and have a pre-2005 Japanese car, officially signups have started for the Arizona Rising Sun Rally, which will be a single-day 200-mile rally through some of the mountains and canyons of the greater Phoenix area. So that signups are open. Unfortunately, every car will not be accepted, and it's not due to any elitism. It's just due to the fact that we only have a 25 car limit for our first year, and we're going to try to have a variety of cars. So if we get 50 cars and 4 of them are first gen Miatas, then unfortunately we can't accept all of them. We're going to have to kind of break it up a little bit, but don't be discouraged, because next year, hopefully if this year goes off as smooth as planned, next year will be a bigger event, maybe over 2 days. But the main event, again, called Arizona Rising Sun Rally, and you can find that on the internet at azrisingsunrally.com. AzRally.com or search AZ Rising Sun Rally on Instagram. It's like I said, about 200 miles, single day rally event. There is a small cost to enter. It's $80, but that gets you a t-shirt and it gets you dinner at the end at the restaurant that it ends at, as well as placards, magnet placards for the doors, commemorative decal of the event, and whatever sponsors to be announced to throw in our goodie bag. So there'll be a few sponsors for that as well. So it'll be a good event. I'm looking forward to it, but signups are open now. So sign up, and I apologize if for whatever reason we can't take you this year. Again, it's not due to any personal issues or any elitism. It's just trying to keep a variety of cars for our first year to help grow it to the next year. So Andrew, you should probably think about flying out here that weekend. Should be a good time.
Maybe. We'll see.
Anyway, what else you got?
That's pretty much it. I think we got a podcast.
Excellent. Ship it.
All right. Yeah. Odd Off Topic Podcast on Facebook. Odd Off Topic on Instagram and Threads. I'm Racing Anger on Instagram and Threads. And Brad, where can they find you?
They can find me at TSISS350 on Instagram and Threads. And they can find some of our small scale content at Scale Autocast on Instagram and Threads. And the podcast everywhere under Odd Off Topic.
Yep. And if you want to join the Discord, just drop us a message.
Hey, we've mentioned it 2 or 3 times during the podcast, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, cool. Keep your eyes analog and aim for the roses.